Terrence didn't come into the bank to prove anything. He came because his rent was due on one property, and the contractor on another was behind schedule, so he needed to move funds. But from the moment he stepped up to the counter, his presence was a problem. The teller glanced up and immediately looked away. Her name tag read Emily Carter, and the irritation on her face was impossible to miss. She scanned Terrence from head to toe. Dusty brown jacket, worn jeans, sneakers that had clearly seen better days. The kind of outfit people wore when they weren't supposed to be in places like this. Her polite smile vanished. "What can I help you with?" she asked flatly, tapping her pen against the counter like his answer was already wasting her time. Terrence calmly reached into his wallet and unfolded a small, creased note. "I need to transfer funds between several accounts," he said. Emily
If you want the voice of justice to be raised in the world, you must subscribe to our channel.
let out a short laugh. Not a chuckle, a snort. "I'm going to need a valid ID," she muttered, "and probably a miracle." A few people nearby shifted uncomfortably. Terrence didn't react. He simply slid his ID across the counter. What Emily didn't know, what no one in that lobby knew, was that Terrence wasn't just another customer. He was the man whose holding company owned multiple commercial properties on that street, including the very building the bank operated in. Emily glanced at the ID, frowned, then sighed loudly. "Sir, this counter is for premium account holders," she said sharply. "You're going to need to move to the regular line." Terrence nodded slowly. "I understand." Emily rolled her eyes and leaned toward her co-worker. "There's always one," she whispered, loud enough for him to hear. A line had formed behind Terrence now. No one spoke, except a woman in a navy business suit standing a few steps back. She leaned forward slightly and fixed Emily with a steady stare. "You might want to watch your tone," she said calmly. Emily snapped back, flustered. "Ma'am, this doesn't concern—" Terrence gently raised his hand. "It's fine," he said evenly. "Let's just continue." What no one noticed was Daniel Brooks, the branch manager, slowing his steps as he passed by. His eyes locked onto Terrence. He paused, blinked once, then quietly walked back toward his office. Terrence leaned forward slightly. "There should be a primary savings account linked to multiple trusts," he said. "I need to move 800. Emily laughed. 70,000. "You do realize I can see what you're wearing, right?" 44119. And 1.3 million into— Emily turned to her screen, expecting to confirm her assumption. Instead, her face drained of color. 7 accounts appeared, all connected to Redwood Equity Group, LLC. One account alone showed a liquid balance of $14.6 million. She blinked, then blinked again. Investment reserves, property escrow, trust holdings, emergency liquidity. It was real. Her voice cracked. "Oh, I didn't realize, Mr. Reed." Terrence met her eyes calmly. "You didn't realize I belonged here?" Before she could respond, a voice came from behind the counter. "Mr. Reed." Daniel Brooks stepped forward, extending his hand. "I wasn't expecting you today." Emily froze. Terrence shook his hand politely. "Just moving capital around," he said, "and learning a few things along the way." Daniel sensed the tension immediately. "Is there a problem?" he asked, glancing at Emily. Terrence didn't accuse. He didn't raise his voice. He stated a fact. "I wasn't offered the standard level of respect usually given to clients with this portfolio." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Emily," he said quietly, "please take your break." She hesitated, but she knew. She walked away, her heels echoing across the marble floor, each step heavier than the last. Daniel turned back. "You have my sincere apology, Mr. Reed," he said. "This will be addressed immediately." Terrence nodded. "I'm not here to ruin anyone's career," he said. "But I do hope she learns something." He paused. "Because the next person she judges might not be as patient." That afternoon, Emily sat in an HR office. No shouting, no spectacle, just consequences, administrative probation, mandatory inclusion training, and her performance bonus, the one she'd been bragging about, was revoked. A memo went out later that week. It read, "Not every person of value arrives in a tailored suit. Let our service reflect awareness, not assumption." As Terrence exited the bank, the woman who had defended him earlier caught up. "People see clothes," she said, "not character." Terrence smiled. "And that's how they miss the truth. We live in a world obsessed with appearances, but real value doesn't announce itself. Sometimes the quietest person in the room owns everything around you. If the story moved you, comment below. Have you ever been judged before someone knew your truth? Subscribe to Black Justice for more real stories where dignity speaks louder than assumptions. We live in a world that judges quickly. A glance, an outfit, a tone of voice, and a decision is made. Too often, respect is handed out based on appearance rather than humanity. That is the quiet truth at the center of this story. The first and most important lesson is simple. Respect should never be conditional. It should not depend on wealth, status, clothing, or influence. When someone is treated poorly because they don't look the part, the problem is not their appearance, it is our assumption. Terrence did not deserve respect because he was wealthy. He deserved respect because he was human. That distinction matters. The second lesson is that silence is not weakness. Terrence did not raise his voice, argue, or demand special treatment. He stayed calm because he knew who he was. People who are secure in their value don't feel the need to prove it loudly. Real confidence doesn't announce itself. It shows itself through patience, restraint, and dignity. Third, this story teaches us that bias always comes with consequences. Whether intentional or unconscious, judgment based on surface details damages trust, careers, and character. A single moment of arrogance costs someone their credibility and opportunity. Our everyday choices, how we speak, how we look at others, how we assume, carry more weight than we realize. The fourth lesson is that truth has a way of revealing itself. Terrence never declared his success. He didn't need to. Facts don't require performance. When people rush to belittle others, they often forget that time has a way of exposing reality. The truth doesn't need volume, it needs patience. Another powerful lesson is about institutions and responsibility. Organizations are judged not by their buildings or logos, but by the behavior of the people who represent them. One dismissive interaction can undo years of reputation. Respectful service is not a favor, it is a standard. This story also reminds us that the quietest person in the room may carry the greatest weight. Not everyone who has influence displays it. Not everyone with power advertises it. Some people walk softly because they don't need validation. And finally, the deepest lesson of all, never judge someone at first glance. The person you overlook today may be the one shaping outcomes tomorrow. The one you laugh at may be the one who holds the keys. Appearances are temporary. Character is permanent. We live in a world that sells image, but real value often arrives unnoticed. And the safest way to move through life is to treat everyone with respect, because you never truly know who you're standing in front of. If this lesson resonated with you, reflect on it. Sometimes the greatest truths come from the quietest moments.